Good evening, everybody. This is your boy D Max. Let's talk. I was just sitting here wondering. I just wanted to put this question out there. Is YouTube an environment for introverts to come and really open up and have their voice to be heard? Because otherwise, introverts are not really heard. Introverts are not really social people. They can be, some can be if they choose to. For the most part, they not. They prefer to be by themselves or in a smaller environment, not around a lot of people. And it's uncomfortable. But being on social media can give you some control over the environment. It keeps you out of direct contact with people while still giving you the ability to reach out and to be able to communicate with people. And so I feel like this is why you see so many people starting podcasts, so many people with these different shows, because now there's been a door of opportunity open for introverts to really voice their opinion because they're not often heard. They're not the outspoken people. They're not the ones who command the room. And so oftentimes whatever they have to say is overshadowed by somebody who's a lot more charismatic and so forth, so on. And so now they can open up, have these channels, and you see a lot popping up here and there. I notice them. And I just wondered to myself, are these a bunch of introverts who see an opportunity to have their voice heard and they're jumping on this opportunity to really say what's on their mind because they don't get to say it at home or on the job or wherever they interact with other people? I feel like that could be a variable that plays into these YouTube streets right now. I really feel like there's a lot of people out here who have a lot on their mind and they have a lot that they want to express, but they really don't trust anybody to be able to express it to them, especially people who know them. But if you're anonymous and you're on here and you don't have anything to tie anybody into you personally, then you feel more free to be able to express yourself. And so a lot of people use this as a release to be able to express themselves. I'm a little bit of an introvert. I can say, I guess I'll say that I can be out and about and I can, adapt to different environments. But for the most part, I prefer to be by myself. I prefer to, uh, just have a quiet and calm and peaceful environment as opposed to a chaotic, loud environment with a lot of moving parts. It just makes me uncomfortable. So, you know, um, being on here is, like I stated from the very beginning, it's always been a release for me. And, it's therapeutic to a lot of people because holding things inside is one of the most unhealthy things that we do to ourselves as people. Holding in our emotions, holding in our feelings and stuff like that, suppressing our emotions. These things are unhealthy. They are so unhealthy to the point to where they make us physically sick. So for something to bother you that much psychologically to the point to where your body begins to misfire, then that means that you have a serious issue. And so you have to be able to let things out. This is something that they put a lot of focus on when I was deployed, is being able to have a release during, they called it resiliency time. And this was time that you take to yourself to relax, meditate, gather your thoughts, and just get everything together so that you can continue on with a healthy mindset or in doing so, you can figure out that something's not right and you can address it then. That way, you don't carry a unhealthy mindset into an environment where that could be the difference between life and death. So, you had a lot of guys who mentally we would tune out. And when I say tune out, we would mentally tune out to the cares of the world back home. We would mentally tune out from everything that we were associated and connected to. And in that time, the only thing that we were connected to were each other in battle. And it was necessary in order for us to carry forth and do the mission that we had set before us. So, we tuned out, and then it was hard tuning back in for a lot of guys. And that's where a lot of guys stand right now at this point. And so mental health was definitely a major focus when we were downrange. And it's a major focus um, in any point in your life, especially after you come back from deployment or after you deal with any type of traumatic experience in your life. It's very important to be able to get a release and to release it and express your emotions about it and cry if you need to, yell, scream, whatever you have to do to release that tension and anxiety that's been built up in you. And once you start the practice of doing these things and not holding things in, it'll change the quality of your confrontations with people. It'll change the quality of your engagements with people, period. I've noticed a change in mine as I began to recognize the need to work on some things. Man, I still got a ways to go, but I'm working, trying. And that's all we can really do is try. So, with that being said, all my introverts on here, I see you. I can hear it in your voice. I can see it in I can see it in your the pattern of how you're doing things. A lot of people do the same little thing. They'll come in and they'll start watching just other shows just to kind of get the feel of it. Then they'll start to interject a little bit here and there. Then next thing you know, they want to try to come on the link and get on the panel and start to introduce themselves. And then next thing you know, they're just whatever their angle is, then they're going for it. Now, I encourage this to some because I understand that for some this is necessary, and there's a lot of quiet, introverted people who don't speak much, but they really have some great things and some insightful, inspiring things to say. But then there are some people that are quiet for a reason, and sometimes the best thing for them is to stay quiet, but that's a personal thing that has to be determined by that person. And there's some people out here in these YouTube streets that will let them know. So that's where a lot of this conflict will come from as well. So, if you're an introvert and, socializing with people is awkward, even even in the safety of your own home and on their device and not in proximity of anybody, there's still a sense of anxiety in some people, and they'll say something just trying to fit in. You know how some people come around and they try to fit in with the crowd and they try to say something funny and it just does not fit with what the crowd is talking about, and everybody look at them like they're crazy. You still have that here on social media too. You have the people who are just that awkward. And but once again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the fact that socializing isn't your strong suit, and maybe you have to find a way to work on that. There's all types of things that you can do to work on being friendly and being approachable and being social with others. And the more you work on it and practice on it, then the better you get at it. You know, this is something that I used to tell kids when they were younger, especially if they were kids who were antisocial kids and they didn't really have a lot of friends. And I'd be like, wait, later on in life, a lot of us, when we grow up and we start to mature and we get out into the real world, that's when we really start to develop our relationships with other people. And we're going to come across so many different types of people. It's not typecasted like in the school environment. In the school environment, you're only going to have so many different types of people. But out in the world, you're going to come across a multitude of people who just have different mindsets, and you're able to find people that are like-minded with you if that's your desire. But your social standing goes up a whole lot after high school and when you get into the workforce and things like that, because you have no other choice but to socialize with other people on your job, or even if you're not socializing, just communication in itself, you know. So I just let people know things like that, because we have a lot of introverted people and we consider them weird whenever we see them out in public, because they're not doing the things that everybody else is. They don't seem as loose and carefree as everybody is. Um, and it seems weird to us. It stands out. We're like, what's wrong with this person? But they're just an introverted person and they are not comfortable around large crowds of people. But can you really blame people nowadays? Because the way this environment is in the United States and everything that's going on as far as gun violence and things like that, you have to have a certain level of caution walking around in the United States. So I feel like everybody should be walking around looking like that right about now. But I was just giving a word of encouragement to introverted people, because a lot of people try, when they hear the word introvert, they think of boring, dud, and homebody and bookworm and all of those things that go along with a square. But introverts are not square. I can tell you that. I'm an introvert and I'm not square. Um, well, no, I take that back, because I guess in some circles, some people would call me square. But then in other circles, people would call me rebellious, or people would call me a bad boy. So it all depends on the crowd in which I'm dealing with. So um, just kind of play that fine line, I guess. But once again, like I said, this is a shout out and a word of encouragement to introverted people who feel like they don't get heard and who feel like their voice is not really taken into consideration and taken seriously or with any respect. These platforms are created for people to be able to come on and share with the world whatever they have to offer. And a lot of times you don't know what you have to offer until you start trying things. You have to be open to explore and open to push yourself in different areas. But most importantly, you have to be open to fail. You have to be open to laugh at yourself, because there's going to be times where you just going to have to laugh at yourself for some of the things that you do, and not take everything seriously, because if you do, you're going to push yourself into a place of condemnation and a place where you don't feel comfortable, um, just making mistakes and being human around people. Nobody's perfect and nobody's expecting anybody to be perfect around them. I wouldn't want somebody around me who's trying to be perfect. That would be absolutely annoying. I want real people who are okay with who they are, around me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, yeah. Extroverts, y'all keep doing y'all thing and stay out of the way of these introverts. But just because they're not social people does not mean they're not something to deal with. There's a lot of people out here who have a whole lot of stuff built up and they've been waiting for an opportunity to let it out on somebody. So just keep that into consideration whenever you think it's going to be sweet messing with an introvert. My daddy used to always tell me, leave them quiet people alone because them quiet people got some stuff with them. They quiet for a reason. I believe that too. And so I'm going to believe what my daddy said, take his advice, and leave the quiet people alone and go on about my business. But that's all I wanted to drop on y'all this evening, man. I just wanted to talk a little bit because I was sitting up in here thinking about some stuff and bored. But y'all go ahead and have a good evening, man. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow morning if I got something interesting to talk about. If not, then as soon as I find something interesting to talk about or I'm able to make another silly video and put it on here, and that's when y'all will see me. So good night to everybody. This is your boy D Mac. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.